As of the time of making this video, 80,000 fires have been recorded in the Amazon in 2019, an 85% increase compared to last year. About 36,000 of them have started in the last month. Although these numbers do seem quite large, the Amazon has had major coordinated deforestation efforts in the past. The largest of these being in 2005, with 150,000 fires in that year alone. However, in 2004, the president at the time, Luiz Silva, decided to start protecting the forest on World Environment Day of 2004. The Brazilian president signed a number of measures to expand existing parks, protect areas of biodiversity, and recognize the land rights of the native communities. The number of fires started fluctuating throughout the years following, but then nearly halving after 2010 and the years after. So what brought them back? Today we are going to find out.
The vast majority believed to be set by farmers.
Farmers harness the flames
to create cattle ranches.
Many of these are believed to be caused by farmers.
Now I'm sure if you watch the news at all, you know all about these evil farmers that are burning down the rainforest for their cattle farms. And you know just how terrible meat is for you and how it's ruining the planet. But what would you say if I told you that it might not be the farmers after all? The statistics don't lie. In 2018, Brazil was ranked the 8th largest food producer in the world. In January of 2019, way before these fires went out of control, statistics of agriculture state that over 4.4 million farmer families have farms averaging 500 acres or more, and are able to produce enough to feed over 70% of Brazil's population of 209 million. At least 31% of Brazil is already farmland, and the country is ranked in a close second, just barely behind the United States in beef output. So why would they need to expand business? To bring perspective, the United States has a population of 327 million people, with farms usually about 400 acres or less. And get this, has less than half of the amount of farms as Brazil, with only 2 million farming families. So why would a country with more farm families, more farmland, and less people need to make more farmland? The answer is they probably don't. But then if it's not the farmers, who was the cause of these fires? To find out, we're gonna have to go back a few months. On April 26, 2019, a parade of hundreds of Huarani men and women who were members of an indigenous tribe in a remote part of the Ecuadorian Amazon marched triumphantly through the streets. Many had come from villages and parts of the rainforest which have no roads, making the long journey by canoe and small plane. They were celebrating a new ruling, which held that the Ecuadorian government could not, as it had planned, auction off their land for oil exploration without their consent. The Ecuadorian government wanted to drill for oil through 7 million acres of land in the Amazon. The lawsuit represented 16 Huarani communities who live inside the Ecuadorian jungle. The ruling immediately protected 1 million acres from the government-sanctioned drilling. The Ecuadorian economy has been experiencing a period of slow growth, and its government is currently drowning in international debt and has said it planned to use any revenue from oil drilling to help pay off these loans. But I hear you saying, what does that have to do with Brazil? In November of 2018, the current president of Brazil, Jair Bolsonaro, was trying to gain approval to sell large patches of the Amazon to ExxonMobil and Royal Dutch Shell, who expressed interest in the land for $30 billion. However, this was also denied. The president of Brazil has also been under fire for a while about how he's doing with the Amazon fire. Bolsonaro, a longtime skeptic of environmental concerns, wants to open the Amazon to more commercial investments to boost the economy of Brazil, and has told other countries worried about about the rising deforestation under his watch to mind their own business. He has accused Brazil of being too affectionate to the Amazon, using the metaphor of calling the Amazon a virgin that Brazil should get to before others have the chance. He fired the head of a space program that was capturing satellite images of the fire. He has gone back and forth saying that the burning of the Amazon will be great for the economy, but also saying he's doing everything he can to stop the fire, even mobilizing the military.
We've been out here for a number of days also. Brazil has said it's deployed 44,000 troops. We haven't seen a single one.
However, the president refused $20 million from other concerned countries to fight the fires, at least until, by his words, he gets an apology from France's president, which has been one of Bolsonaro's greatest critics throughout this whole ordeal. Many others have also tried and failed to provide help to the Amazon, apparently being held back by the government itself. Bolsonaro has also claimed that non-profit organizations, or NGOs, are burning down the rainforest to hurt his career.
Everything indicates that NGOs were going to the Amazon to set fire to the forest.
When asked if he had evidence to back up his claims, he said he had no
written plan,
adding that
that's not how it's done.
When asked why the organizations that are supposed to help the rainforest would do such a thing, he said it was because he slashed funding, and that anyone will do anything for money. One of the biggest contributors by far was Norway, which had contributed almost $1.2 billion to save the Amazon fund, stopped funding after the major outbreak of fires, and after the president started using the fund for other means. The president claims the nonprofit organizations had started the fires to film them and try to get the funds to come back to the Amazon. The NGOs responded, labeling the president's claims that they were responsible a smokescreen to hide his government's dismantling of protections for the world's largest tropical rainforest. Since Bolsonaro took power, the Brazilian Environment Agency has issued fewer penalties, and ministers have made it clear that their sympathies are with the businesses, rather than the indigenous groups who live in the forest. So who is exactly responsible for all this? I personally think it's a collaboration between the governments of South America and the oil companies to get more oil from Brazil. Maybe some of it is farmers, but I highly doubt all of it. 80,000 fires is quite a bit. A recent survey said that over 90% of Brazilians want more protection put on the rainforest rather than less protection, and the media's silence for over 3 weeks is definitely fishy. I think the only reason the media reported on it was because it was a trending topic on the internet that they weren't talking about it, so then they felt they had to. And when they did report on it, they tried to put us against each other, saying that eating meat is the problem. That's the same as the Brazilian president saying,
just use the bathroom every other day to stop climate change.
Going vegan is not the solution, nor is it practical for most people. But the mainstream media and select celebrities decide to stir the pot to turn us against each other instead of facing the real issue. Also, the Brazilian president going back and forth saying,
burn the rainforest,
to
we're doing all we can,
is very fishy. I personally think he's been paid off. By who? Who knows? It could even be the oil company that is directly owned by the Brazilian government, Petrobras, which is 54% directly owned by the Brazilian government, whose earnings last quarter were a little bit down from the quarter before. So could this all be a plan to get more land for economic growth? But how will this help them get more land? Well, obviously it'll scare the local tribes into giving the government what it wants, or even kill the tribes in the process. Plus, the Amazon will already be deforested, perfect for setting up rigs to scout for oil. Well, for now, it's just a theory. A conspiracy theory. No, I'm kidding. But if you've seen the reports on how much the Amazon rainforest is burning, I'm sure you were quite nervous like I was about how bad this will affect the environment in our lifetime and in our children's lifetime.
Those fires from the lungs of the earth, as it's called, is causing problems in the lungs of the Brazilian people,
which produce a substantial amount of the oxygen we breathe.
Climate scientists say one of the most immediate impacts from all of this is how much carbon is being released into the atmosphere.
NASA tonight releasing imagery of a carbon monoxide plume currently over the Amazon. The rainforest is responsible for 20% of the world's oxygen supply.
I'm sure you've seen the reports that if we don't change our ways in 12 months, there's no going back. I decided to look deeper into this, and there's just so many conflicting stories on just how much oxygen is produced in the Amazon, depending on which article's agenda is trying to be pushed. I've seen some call the Amazon the lungs of the planet, and others call it a wash, saying that the Amazon creates just as much carbon as it does oxygen. I've seen many conflicting reports that the Amazon makes between 6% and 20% of the entire world's oxygen. Either way, it's quite a bit. I can't confirm either way because I'm not a scientist and there's just so many conflicting reports. I'm sure either way, the burning of the Amazon is bad. But is it as bad as we think? I'll let you decide. But now I want to know what you believe. Do you think the fires are being started by the farmers, the oil companies, the nonprofit organizations, or by the government themselves? Let us know in the comments below. We hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a like and maybe even subscribe for more great content. We do all the research so you don't have to. And as always, I'm Alex, and I hope you have a fantastic day.
And it cuts deeper than the roots of the trees that we planted in the graveyard. I don't think these scars will ever fade off. Good thing nothing seems to faze us. So numb